I'm Brandy Stanley, and this is my Module 16 for AEP 858. And the question of applying data and data analysis to assure your continuous improvement plan is focused on closing gaps. My background information is that in our elementary school, we use the Success for All reading program, and they use Title I teachers to support that program. They have small groups, and students are grouped by ability level, and they are they're assessed at each quarter, and then are regrouped as far as their progress, and so it's more on pace with their learning. And then in their MTSS process, they also have additional support for tutoring. So in my position, I'm a school counselor at the junior high level, 6th through 8th grade. So our concern is that Success for All works for most students, and then we are getting students at the lower end that may still be reading on a 3rd grade level, and they're in the same reading class as the rest of our 6th graders. So we do share data by way of a Google spreadsheet, so everyone has access to the data, access to the Gates-McGinney test that they use for placement and their reading level. And then we address skills in reading class, but there's little collaboration between teachers at our 6th grade level compared to what kids are coming from, where they talk about their data more officially in their collaboration meetings. So our desired outcome is improved reading performance for our lowest performing students.
Okay, I have a couple of questions for you. I don't know if you mentioned this already or not, but could you remind me or tell me how the students are actually grouped by what assessment or data do you look at to then group your students?
In the elementary school, they're grouped by the Gates-McGinney test, and then the state assessments also inform those groups as well. At the junior high level, though, they're all in the same reading class, so it's all grouped at the 6th grade instruction level and not based on their ability level.
Okay. So at the 6th grade level, you are saying that all 6th graders are receiving just the 6th grade instruction?
Generally, yes. We do have a piece that differentiates a bit with, I believe it's called iStation, and it gives some variance to some of the skill-based lessons that we can do. But that, I believe they're using that on a fairly limited basis.
Oh, okay. And my last question is again, I don't know if you talked about collaborating. Did you say how much actual time you have per day or per week to actually collaborate?
There is no set-aside collaboration time. There's not a common planning time set aside for that.
Okay.
So what help I want is, would you have any experience on using data to differentiate instruction in reading, or do you see any concerns or suggestions that you might have in the system or in the process that we're using to get to the point that we are able to implement that differentiated instruction?
Okay. Are you basing this on the 6th grade level?
To start with, yes.
Okay. So currently I teach 4th grade reading and language arts. So it's getting close to that 6th grade level. And still at the 4th grade level, I differentiate using MAP testing. It will tell you what level students are on, and then I'm able to group my students into 3 groups: low, average, and high. And then just about every day I have small group time. Where I will pull back my low, average, and high groups, and we'll work on things that they need. So I take a look at the data that the MAP provides, but if you don't have MAP testing, what I would suggest is maybe the testing that you do use gives maybe grade level equivalencies, and you could take a look at the standards for those lower grade levels and find skills that you could help those lower students with that could build them up to grade level. And to also look at some of your upper level kids that might need to be pushed, take a look at some of those higher grade standards and see if you can pull back into some of those skills. So those would be some ideas I would have for you.
Great, thanks. And so when you pull back to small groups, you don't have, this is you doing that in your homeroom classroom, in your reading class, and you don't have anybody pulling out into small groups or anything like that for that instruction?
For my own classroom instruction, right. I teach small whole group lessons. That's on 4th grade level. And then I also have time set aside where I myself take a look at the data and group my kids for small group. At our school, we also have time, 30 minutes set aside for reading, where kids are pulled out that are extremely low. And then we work with the other students left in our classroom on some grade level or above grade level skills. So we have the luxury of having that extra time also.
Sure. That's great. I think that would be really helpful. And while we don't use MAP, I do think that the Gates McGinney would break it down so that we can do grouping that way by low, average, and high. That's a good idea. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so those next steps that we might take, I will need to get access to that additional data, but then I think that's a great idea to use the Gates in place of your suggestion for MAP testing. The Gates test, I think, would provide that information. So I appreciate that. It's really helpful. Thank you.
Yes.